the key ideas that I really want to get across is that technology is created by humans. And so what is the data that we're putting into it? Do we have the diversification of people, product, process? Are we in a position where we are truly enabling the relevant people and the right people into the room when the decisions are being made? So that's the first thing. The second thing is from an ethical standpoint, is it safe? Is it fair? And is it authenticated? Are we sure of what we're producing? And are we sure of how it's really going to transform people's life? And the third is the idea that we are moving at a faster pace than we ever have before. But that doesn't mean the rest of the world and the education is. And so how are we truly leveling up people and giving them the skills they need to use technology to their advantage in every use case possible, from the common person to the rich, the wealthy, and the bougie? How are we really helping them do what they can when we're not necessarily teaching concepts of technology, digital transformation, or AI in the education system?
I'm sure you talked also at other conferences about these topics. So I'm wondering, what's your take? Are people, relevant people and entities, aware of all these subjects you are talking about?
I think it's a great question. I mean, from an ethical standpoint, yes, they are aware, and we've had regulation come through. You know, the UK, we're very proud in the sense that we are leading some of the tech revolution, from investment funding all the way to regulation. But that doesn't mean that we are, in simplicity, we have the relevant people in the room, because we don't have the relevant people through the educational pipeline. So we need to go back to schools to encourage young professionals, especially women, into the world of tech so we can diversify the products we're building. The second point is companies are most definitely interested. They are aware. They are creating their own rules and regulations. Are they sharing it with us? That's a different question altogether. And the third is, we know this from the internet, we know this from the news, we have certain companies like the Googles, the Alphabets of the world, the Apples, who have the monopoly. And so how do we truly create disruption and innovation and creativity when the largest companies in the world are the ones who are creating the products for the common person? And so, yes, companies are aware of these factors, from hiring talent all the way to the products they're building, all the way to the ethics behind it. But if I was to reframe the question, are they in a position where they're actively educating the public? I think there's still a lot to do there.
Tell me a great question that I haven't asked you, and I also know that you are familiar with what I'm doing, so I'm curious, what's the question you wish I asked you?
I think you've asked me some great questions. I think maybe one question is, why do I care?
Yeah, why do you care, let's say?
It's a great question, why do I care? And truth be told, I hadn't cared until a lot of technology starts to impact you. So a really good example is from a global standpoint. I love to travel. It's something I do for my business. I go all around the world. And you realize that in certain countries, there is far more technological advancement. So I went to Estonia as an example. In Tallinn, 95% of everything was online. It was contactless. And I was like, wait, I'm from the UK and that doesn't truly exist. I went to Kenya and I realized that they are far advanced in maybe the concept of community, and in certain spaces, the hospitality industries that we can take back to our country. I've gone to Pakistan and I've realized that there's amazing efforts in the tech space from a hospitality standpoint that maybe we haven't seen. So I guess the point being, I care because, one, I'm impacted by technology every day, and so I would like to do something where I can help create the solutions of the future. Two, I'm just curious as a person, and that's a skill that I've learned since I was younger. And three, I think the best way that we can really create change is to understand what change is occurring outside of the space that we're in, and see if that's something that we can bring back to our homes and use it for positive use cases, because technology has its disadvantages and it has its cons and it has its issues. But that's the fun side of it, is everything is a challenge, and tech is the one world that they encourage you to fail and fail really fast. And I'm all about failure. So that's probably why I care.
Are you using AI? Can you share with us what kind of platforms are you using, and if you are afraid that maybe one day these platforms will replace us? I saw in your CV that you also worked, or you are still working as a presenter at TV. And do you think we are going to have AI presenters and humans are just going to watch these kind of things? What do you say?
I think it's a great question. So we do have AI algorithms, we do have AI avatars, we do have AI influencers. In simplicity, we already have AI avatars replacing real humans. But that just means we need to step up our game. So I'm a content creator, I'm a presenter, I am a YouTuber for, other instances. One, that's because a lot of social media drives your activity. But two, I don't think AI will replace the human empathy, the creativeness, the curiosity, or your energy that you bring to the field. I do think it will, and maybe it should replace some of the tasks. So I know as an example that as a content creator or as a presenter, I will record myself like I'm doing now with this video. I will put it into an AI platform that will cut it up into shorts or reels. Then I will go through a schedule tool and I'll do the work, or it will do the work for me. So ultimately what that means is I'm reducing the time that I have to take from a cutting and editing standpoint, and I'm letting AI tell me what's going to work for the internet. But AI should not take away your human insight, your analytical analysis, your thoughts, your process, your curiosity, your energy. So I would say just on that statement, if people are using AI, it may take away the tasks and the laborious tasks, of course, but you need to upskill yourself so that you have an opinion. But please don't follow every opinion or headline you see on the internet. There's a lot of misinformation also being shared, and that's something to be cautious about.
So we are not getting a chance to be lazy, but to be more creative and spend more time and be more analytical, for example.
Absolutely. I think AI can help us with creative processes, inspiration. It can help us if we're reading long forms of text to tell us exactly what good looks like in bullet point. But I know. What we shouldn't do is we shouldn't become lazy or dependent. What we shouldn't do is believe everything it says, because ultimately the data is already biased. The input is biased, and so the data and the output can be flawed. And what we should do is use it as a tool or as a friend, just to help us along the path. Ultimately, AI can make people lazy, and that's going to probably a downfall of the human empire, is if we allow it to make us lazy and we allow these big companies to have the monopoly and we just believe everything we see. So what I would love for anyone listening is AI can help us find the best versions of ourselves and, try new things and come up with new ideas, but we still need to keep our brains hungry and nourished and have an analytical thought process and analysis. Don't believe everything you see on the internet, because there's a lot of false information and fake news and fake avatars. Be smart enough to know the difference, but also be smart enough to use AI in making your process more efficient and faster.
Great thoughts. And my final question, where do you see yourself in 5 years with your project? Where do you want it to develop it, and where would you like it to be?
The first thing and the foremost is, as a presenter, I would love to have my own talk show. So nobody gives you something, so you have to work really hard, and showing up in spaces like this is important. The second thing is the LMF Network. We have an app coming out, so if LinkedIn and Bumble had a baby, that would be us. So it's a professional networking app, finding your friends, having career conversations, and building your network. Ultimately, I would like to have at least 50,000 users, at least an 80% success rate. And the third thing and the foremost, or the most important thing is, I want to be in a position where I'm constantly learning and staying curious. A lot of the time you think a measure of success, or people see you on the internet or video, they think you've made it, but actually it's just the starting of your journey. I don't want to have, high dopamine effects continuously. I want to say, there's something I haven't solved, there's something I haven't learned. Let me go and surround myself with people who are smarter than me in the room. In simplicity, who knows what's going to happen in 5 years, because the world has transformed so quickly. So I want to keep my skills that are strong, and I just want to keep showing up.
Great discussion. I wish you best of luck, and I'm going to follow you to see how you are developing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.